Hi guys, it's Kelly from Cards by Christine and the Sunshine Stamp & Co. here with you for the last ever Memories and More class. I'm sad about it. I love Memories and More. If you have not heard, the Memories and More product line is being discontinued. However, I do know that there's more. I think it's the mix and match ephemera type of option is what they're going to. I know we'll be able to continue to make beautiful things with or without the Memories and More product line, but it is just a sad one. And this Memories and More pack, I will tell you, this class is being offered way at the end of this product. It, at this point, is on last chance. It was not when we designed with it, okay? I will make that memo. But when we designed with it, it had already been out for almost a year. And I was looking for a way to add some classes, to add some options so that I'm working towards Costa Rica and I'm tracking, like I'm definitely not ahead of the game, but I'm on track. So I was looking for my next thing, and that's what this was going to be. I will tell you, these cards are amazing. But when we looked at the card pack, we were not having amazing thoughts. So this has come a long way, and I will say this is God's timing because oh, you're fine. Annette is hard at work doing things for all of us, but she just did things. So, like, you keep going, girl. You got this. But this card pack, we'll look through it, and it is a little like, okay, sure. But all of the stars aligned, because these cards would not have looked like they do had we done them when they first came out for several reasons. One of which is the Berry Burst ribbon. This is like tying it all together, okay? And you will notice this is as much of a Memories and More class as it is a Balloon Festoons class, which this literally just released on Tuesday to our customers. We had it as a pre-order or like a pre-release as demonstrators. So Chris ordered, all of the things that she wanted to order from the pre-order. And this was literally the first thing we used from the pre-order, and the first thing we pulled out of the box and the first things that we were making were these things. And Chris is like, I never, ever in a million years expected that Balloon Festoons was going to be the first thing that we designed out of the pre-order. And it just was a match made in heaven with these Memories and More card packs. And I am so thrilled with how these cards turned out. I'm so excited to make them again and again and again and again, to be completely honest with you. I'm so happy that you're here doing this with me and that you like them as well, and I really do appreciate the support as well. But at this point, I need to start saying hi to some people, because look at this. Hello to Karen Wetstein and Susan Bellamy, also to Debbie Guest. They were my three that were like on it and in the live before I was in the live. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And thank you to Crystal and Nancy and Donna as well. So, hello, hello, hello. I am so happy that you are all here. Let's show off the cards. Then, I'm not going to lie, we designed these over a month ago. And the kits so when we design, Chris makes a set, I make a set, and then we make a set that is unmade that goes for the live. Well, at this point, I don't know where the unmade set is, so I'm diving into a kit that I was going to sell, and I've got a lot more to make anyways, so it's like totally okay. But we're going to say a little prayer to little baby Jesus that we find the kit, because it's out in the world somewhere, and nobody wants unmade card supplies to go to waste. That would just be a sin. Hello to Donna and Carrie and Donna. Thank you. Yes, so I am not quite yet at the point where I need and want to be in terms of like timing and efficiency and understanding and everything. I'm working on it though. But my goal was to have the PDF off before class. My larger goal was not midnight the night before class, but we're getting there. At least I got it off before class. If you are a registrant and you did not receive the PDF yet, my apologies. I took the lists as best as I could. I do know that sometimes my things are going to spam. So bear with me. Let me know if you did not receive it. Probably not in the chat because it can get lost, but reach out to Chris or I, and we'll make sure you get it. This will not be the only time I'm sending it either. I was telling Annette earlier, I wanted the PDF to be done because now going through the cards in order, like, and it's all fresh in my brain. I literally just finished the PDF. Now I'll go through the cards with you guys, and I'll go through the measurements and the recipe cards and stuff like that. And anything that's wrong, I can catch, and then I'll resend it after class. Whether it's right or wrong, I will resend it after class, just in case, you know, it got caught up in someone's filters or anything like that, just so that you can make sure that you have it and get it because you got it with your kits and all that. The kits, all right? So here are the kits. I have them. I have the first round of them, but Mom and I are very well aware that we need to make more because more sold than we forecasted, which is, yay, a great problem to have. But the first round of mailing is tomorrow, and the second round of mailing is in 2 weeks, and then, of course, we also have in-person people as well. So we are going to get the kits where they need to go, and then I'll have more, and those will get where they need to go. So we're getting there. Every time the process gets a little smoother, it's still not smooth, but every time it gets a little smoother. So thank you for bearing with me. Any feedback, constructive, is okay. Trust me, it's okay. But delivery matters. So if there's anything that you would like to see better or different, or any like comments that you have, let us know. I do like to know. I want to get as good as Chris someday. I have a long way to go, okay? I know that. All right, let's see here. Hello to Pat and Julie as well. I am so very much looking forward to this class too. These cards are so good. They're so happy, and they kind of have a little bit of a rainbow theme to them, so that makes me happy too. So, okay, let's look at what we've got, and then we will get into the nitty-gritty. So, so Chris made hers, and I made mine, and mine are just an absolute smidgen different than hers, like not much at all. But here are my cards, the recipe cards, and the PDF, and the cards you've seen in the live have always been her cards. And again, they're not much different. Sorry, I need to get myself a little bit situated. But it is time that you see my cards in the live. So this is the reverse order. Let's see here. I'm trying to think how, I know how they were kitted and how they were written. My brain is just like having... I dread the Memories and More packs all year. The balloon festoons. Yes! See? That Chris just commented the exact thing. We had literally received this Memories and More card pack at Onstage. Not Onstage that we got back from like 3 months ago, but an Onstage before that. And it took... Chris, I was saying this as well. It took the Berry Burst ribbon, which I don't think was out at that point in time, and the balloon festoons to just put all of the pieces of the puzzle together. So, because of our patience, we'll call it patience, not dread, Chris. Because of our patience, these cards came to life. Okay, so we have... Oh, gotta turn them the right ways. These 6 beautiful cards. And how our Memories and More card class is set up, you receive a pack of the card pack, which I have one open for you. I have one open here for you to see. The card pack features, here, let's see here. I'm going to move these up just a little bit. The card pack features 4x6 and 3x4 cards. And you receive several of each of the patterns. So we've got words and we've got diagonals. And lots of patience. Yes. I think card making in general often requires a lot of patience. But honestly, these cards are amazing. So, so good. So I'm going to show you each of the cards in the card packs and how I have them laid out here. You'll see the patterns on the bottom are the patterns that we ended up using in the cards. The patterns on the top are the back side. So we personally did not use the words, the balloon animals, or the bubbles. And that's not to say that they're not great, and that's not to say that you might not want to use them, because the beauty of the Memories and More card pack and the Memories and More card class is you're only using half of these supplies. You will receive enough supplies to make 3 of each of these 6 cards and still have half the pack left. So if you would like, you can actually make not only the 18 kits that you got, but 36 of every one. So, or you can use the other half of the kit to make something bigger and better if you so choose. All right, so I'm going to keep those off to the side. Now, we've got the 3x4s, and I'm going to go out and make a claim. I'm pretty sure there's 6 different patterns. We'll find that out as we go through it, but I'll do the same thing. I'll lay out the front and the back and show you the side we used versus the side that didn't get used. And in some instances, we used both sides. Okay, so very beautiful blue pattern. We did not end up using that side. Okay. So the smaller cards, there are more options, but we were still able, and so, okay, I really thought we were going to end up using this, and we didn't. Like I said, there's a lot of really good patterns that didn't get used. So if you want to use the sides we didn't use, you are more than welcome to. And actually, I thought, and I was wrong. Oh no, I just smudged my glasses. Why did I do that? I thought there was one that we used both sides of, but there really wasn't. Here, I need to make a little bit more room. Boop. Okay. So, we have blue, a bunch of words. That's the side we didn't use. And then on the other side, we've got the bubbles, or the dots. We have What a Crowning Achievement. Of course, we didn't use that side, but we did use the orange side. We have this very nice blue subtle pattern, again, that we didn't use, but we did use the diagonal kind of rainbow side. This is a journaling card, which we did not use. We did use the berry stripes side. Here we have a orange kind of diagonal pattern with some space, but we used the zigzag side. And then, yes, the bunting that we used the rainbow side instead. Now, if we put all of these back together, let's pull them off to the side. Then we've got more swag to go through. Okay, so that's the kit, the Memories and More card pack. If you purchased the kit through me, there were two different options. The Be Happy Stampers could buy just the kit. That includes all of the card bases, all of the like sentiment strips, all of the die cut elements, all in this nice pack. This is going to make you 18 cards. Hello, Sherry. Thank you so much for joining. If you are not a Be Happy Stamper, you receive that, but you also receive the whole card pack, an entire roll of our Berry Burst ribbon, and a rhinestones pack. So we brought the rhinestones in on all of the cards. Now, on the back of the Memories and More card pack, a sealed pack, we talk about the colors. We've got Balmy Blue, Berry Burst, Daffodil Delight, Lemon Lime Twist, Pretty in Pink, and Timid Tiger. So we followed that color scheme with an exception of we did not use the Balmy Blue. We brought in Azure Afternoon instead. So we thought all of the colors were the bright colors. And yes, there is Balmy Blue absolutely in there, but we thought it was much more cohesive to bring in Azure Afternoon instead. Okay, so before we move on into the card making, we are going to go ahead and use this time to do a roll call quick. So let me move that off to the side as well. Oh, we'll talk about balloon festoons in just a minute as well. I know I raved about it, but all right, let's do roll call quick. So we have our participants: Anna Zastro, Annette Rollin, Catherine Healy, Deborah Stone, Diane Bogenhagen, Donna Grutschke, Doris Monson. We also have Faye Godby, Jean Shute, Judy Dean, Judy Immel, Julie Bontranger, Karen Wetstein, Karen Woods, Kelly Gibson, Laura Sullivan, Lisa Mules, Luann Trumpauer, Margene Eskelson, Margie Yasui, Mary Novak, Mary Lemke, Mary Joel Stoll, Michelle Foran, Nina Germany, Pat Smothers, Perry Overby, Feline Mays, Rose Garibaldi, Rosalind Begay, Rosie Prouty, Sandy Coy Emery, Sarah Marchant, Susie Fentilator, Trisha Fagley, Susan Bellamy, Jeannie Gertis, Wanda Zerman, Mary Carls, Ruth Nicholson, Debbie Gast, Donna Rose, Sherry Everett, Faya Vera, France Eldridge, Linda Stoll, Mary Jo Stoll, Stacy Tan, Sue Esworthy, Susan Devine, Doris Munson, Kathleen Ketterman, Julie Damaris, and Perry Overby. Thank you so much to everyone who is participating in this class, whether they are purchasing the PDF, whether they are on the Be Happy Stampers, got the full kit, or are even just watching along just for the kicks and the giggles. I promise you I'm not a comedy show, but I am here to entertain.
Kelly will help you in that.
Good. We've got our backup supports in the back here.
A couple of clowns.
A couple of clowns. Just two today. Just two clowns. All right, so every card in this card pack is made out of the Memories and More card pack, but every single card also features just the balloon festoons, which I think is incredible. Now, we did bring in literally only one other die set. We have the Forever Florals dies here and over here, but all of the balloons, obviously, come from the balloon festoon dies. We did utilize the smallest and then the four smallest sizes. They get quite huge. So like the biggest balloon is literally bigger than a card, bigger than an A2 card. So it looks like we've got maybe 4 1/4 for the width, but the height is a little bigger than 5 1/2. Now, we also utilized the balloon tails. I'll talk more about this in just a minute, but the balloon tails dies include 2 right off the get-go. Now, we are using 3 balloon tails for 1 set of 6, and your kits include 3 sets of 6. So you will receive 9 of these little balloon tails. The other die in the set is this set of shines, as I'm calling it. And they're basically, you know, the like glare or the white part on a balloon. We did not utilize that though. Just to let you know. Oh, hello to everyone. Wow, an awesome list of lovely ladies. I tend to agree. I recognize very many of those names, and I appreciate all of your support. Balloon festoons. So that's the name of the stamp set, also the die set, and of course the bundle. So we've got sentiments of happy birthday, let's celebrate, hip hip hooray, you did it, and enjoy your day. We did end up using all of the sentiments. It also includes a balloon stamp with the balloon tie, then some stamps that you can use to either decorate on the balloon, or we of course used them to stamp on the inside of the cards. So we've got large dots and small dots. We also have confetti and stars. Then there's also this like garland bunting type of thing. That is the one stamp that we did not use in this set. So I think that adequately gives the lay of the land. And my mom, who is at home working on some kits for me, just texted me to call her when I can. So I need to find my phone, which I have no clue where it is, to let her know that it's gonna be a while. And I need to take a drink break. So give me half a second. And on we move. So I'm going to lay our cards all back out in reverse order so that we are starting with the correct card. All right, so here is our card pack. There will be a little rainbow ticket in it with your name and the name of the class. So that is for those of us who are not prompt, who will watch this class and sit on the card pack for any amount of time. And I will just tell you, there is absolutely no shame in that, because I would fall into that category as well. We know you, we love you, we see you. All right. So, your card pack includes enough supplies to use half of the Memories and More pack to make 3 of each of the cards. And obviously the PDF will give you all of the information that you need in case you want to make the other set of cards. Right off the bat, we're going to work down. So the first card that we're going to make is the Berry Burst card. Then we'll do the Azure card, then the Lemon Lime card, followed by the Daffodil card, the Timid Tiger card, and lastly the Thick White base. All of the supplies for all 3 of your cards are nested together. However, you will want to take this white mat off first to find all 9 of your balloon tails. You're going to want to take those out first, bring them to the side, because these are being used on not quite all of the cards, but most of the cards. You will want to break this out if you're only making one set of cards to make sure that you're not overusing them. You are going to use 3 tails on just one set of cards. We do have to be a little strategic with them as well, and I will walk you through that as we go. On today's live, we are only making one of each of the cards. So go ahead and grab your Berry Burst card base first and put all of the rest of your supplies off to the side. Now, I'm going to take just one of each of the supplies from the stack. Okay, and that would include a Berry Burst card base, an embossed basic white mat. This is embossed with the dotty circles. At this point, that embossing folder is on last chance. You also will have a basic white inside mat. I accidentally grabbed 2 of that piece. Okay, then you have a Berry Burst secondary mat. You also have a white sentiment strip and a Berry Burst piece to mat behind it. To make this card, you will also need to grab from your Memories and More card pack the 4x6 candles, which is this piece, and we will be cutting that in half. We did use the candles on 2 of the cards. So, it is 4x6, so you can just go ahead and cut it at the 3-inch mark. And then you can put that other piece aside for, I think it might be for the last card that we end up, well, no, it's the yellow card, right? Okay, just put it aside for the yellow card. Let's put that over there. Okay, so now you have all of the pieces that you need for this particular card. The first step that we are going to do is we are going to burnish our card base on the score line. Like to go ahead and make sure our corners match up before we burnish it. All right, then we are going to bring in our sponge dauber. A nice collection of them back here. And we are going to add some Berry Burst ink to the texture. Now, if you have ever made cards with me, you know that I really like to use daubers. And in that vein, you also know that I have a very heavy hand. So, when you are using a basic white card base and Berry Burst ink, that is not by any extent of the definition subtle. And if you, like I, have a heavy hand, you want to be extremely cautious when adding this ink. So, I am, wow, several minutes behind on the feed. So, I'm going to see if I can get that caught up. Okay, so if you look at the card, we really are only worrying about adding ink to the outside 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. So this entire middle area is open for us to practice on. Now, this has a definite front and back. I would say there are a couple of little dots that poke down in the back, but the side that we want to use has these nice big circles popping up. So I'm going to go ahead and get my dauber inked up, and then I'm going to extremely, very lightly and cautiously start in this entire middle section that is going to be covered up. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that I can get an idea of how heavy or how lightly I am going to be using this dauber. Spoiler alert, it's not going to be heavy at all. I am going to try really hard to just hover over, because the more I press down, the more I'll get on the background, and I just did that on purpose because I do not want that. I would like my background to stay white or as white as possible without getting any ink on it, and just having the Berry Burst ink hitting on these circles. So once I feel comfortable with the amount of pressure that I need to apply and the amount of ink that I want to have on my dauber, which I have too much on at this point, then I'm going to start moving out into the part that gets seen. So you can see that all of this area is going to be included. So at this point, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off and start on the dots that are going to be seen. And right off the bat, I can tell that my dauber has a lot of pillies on it that are bringing some of that ink down into that white area that I want to maintain. But we're just going to roll with it. Because what can we do, right? We can either start over, which that I don't want to do, or we can make the best of what we have. So the choice is yours. And yes, you can start in the middle, again, where it's going to get covered, and just keep working your way out. This is a very unique texture for an embossing plate. It is, the dots are extremely highly raised, and there are big areas of texture that are completely void. So like there's absolutely nothing going on in those areas, and that's okay. It is unique. At first, I did not like this embossing folder at all, but it really did grow on me, and I do believe there are some really cool ways to utilize it. So once you feel like you may have the entire area covered, I like to bring in my matted pieces and just cover and make sure that I have enough. So yes, everything is covered. I am going to add a little bit more to this dot. And then the other thing that I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to add a little bit more to the background of this top and bottom area, because it seems a little too starkly white. So now I am going to try to intentionally get a little bit more on the background. I'll add some to the side too. I feel good about that. Then I'm going to move the dauber off to the side. And then at this point, I like to move into the stamping because my stamp pad is here and open. So for this card, we're going to stamp the Let's Celebrate in Berry Burst on the white sentiment strip. And then we're also going to stamp on the inside, Happy Birthday in Berry Burst. Then we're going to bring the Daffodil Delight in and stamp the stars to accompany that on the inside. So here we have a honey pot. That's not for this class. All right, let's celebrate. So we want this to be centered top to bottom and in the middle, which means there's going to be a bunch of space on the left and right hand side. So go ahead and ink up your stamp. It is a great idea to always practice on a piece of scrap paper so that you get a good idea. I'm going to keep it down to the bottom of how your stamp stamps. Okay. And then again, you rip the Band-Aid off and just run with it. Okay, that's pretty good. I will move that off to the side, and then we are going to grab our inside mat. I'm going to clean the Let's Celebrate, but I think we might use it again, so I'll leave it on the block. Okay, then we need the Happy Birthday. My goodness, everything's falling all over the place. I lied. I said that this swoopy thing was the only thing we didn't use. We also did not use this dotty texture that goes on the balloon. So there are 2 stamps we didn't use. More on that as we progress. This set of stamps is so good. I love how it is like youthful and jovial, but it is still absolutely able to be used in a wide variety of birthday cards, which I would think most of us agree that birthday cards are one of the most common things that we make and send cards for. Although I will say, I feel like I might send just as many, if not more, thinking of you cards. What do you guys think? What's the most common card that you send?
Depends on your age. I have a lot of sympathy cards.
Sympathy cards, okay. Judy, what do you think?
I don't know, I keep them in my birthday.
Judy doesn't send cards, she just makes cards. Sending cards and making cards happen to be 2 different hobbies.
I'm a collector of made cards.
Collector of made cards, that's okay. You do put a lot of heart and soul into a card, and it is extremely hard to part with them.
Once I screw up.
Okay, so the category of cards that Judy sends the most are the ones that she screws up on. Birthday cards. Okay, Shariat says the most cards she sends out are birthday cards. See? That's why she participated in this class. I like it. All right, then we need the stars. Which are nested right on top of the word birthday. So this stamp, you can tell it's so hard. There's a big shadow on it. You can tell that it's not cut as deep. So I'm definitely going to practice this one because I don't want to push too hard and get any of that extra ink not where I want it. Okay, so I can see right off of the corner of the biggest star, if I push as hard as I just did, I'm going to get some additional ink that I do not want. So let's push a little less hard. And there's a piece of something on my star. Not good. Okay, that was perfect. Thinking of you can be used for many occasions. Absolutely. I have learned that. Or hello. Hello is a very common sentiment, especially because a lot of the cards that we design, we try not to focus too much on stamping. So it's nice to have a small little sentiment strip. And hello almost always fits nicely in those small little sentiment strips. Okay. All right, that should take care of all of the stamping for this particular card. So now it's time to start assembling. To do that, I will grab my liquid glue, and first I'm going to stick down the embossed mat. Potentially. Or do I have a dud of a glue? Okay, no. Okay, she's definitely clogged in some way. Get that on there as straight as we can. Just kidding, you guys. We need to put ribbon on this guy before we stick that down. So we're just gonna rewind for a hot minute there. We're gonna grab our tear and tape instead. Whoa, there's no tear and tape here.
Up on the thing.
Up on the what? Up on the house top, right here?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the thin stuff.
Here.
I'm gonna say, do we have any normal? Well, thanks there, Judy. Judy's always swooping in to save the day. Okay, so this goes right down the middle of the card. So I'm going to put tear and tape right where there's a little bit of a void. You can see here, there's a little bit of a void right here. So we're gonna put the tear and tape right there. And you get a whole roll of ribbon with your kits. So you can use as much or as little ribbon as you want. We used 2 runs of ribbon on the back. So grab your ribbon, and I'm going to add a run. I'm going to put it just a little bit lower. Okay, and then you can trim it. And add a second. When I do 2 runs of ribbon, I like to have them overlap just a smidge. Hi, Francis. It is absolutely not a problem for you to catch the replay. We actually are just getting started on our first card. And Mary got caught up in life, but she's here now. I'm glad that you made it, Mary. All right, then we like to finish it with a tear and tape sandwich. Judy Immo, how much is a smidge, she asks, from the peanut gallery. I heard snickering back there, and you know, I never know what's going on, but Judy Immo, how much is a smidge? You know, it's a smidgen more than a little bit than a less, okay? Does that help? These ladies. And you know what? You can't fire free help. Just kidding.
That's true.
All right, so my glue is still on there and it's still pretty tacky, so I'm good with just going ahead and flipping that back down. A smidge may only be a little bit, but it's better when the smidgen is not crooked. How come everything I do is always crooked? Is that in inches? You know, it's not in inches. It's probably in centimeters, millimeters, kilometers. Just kidding. Okay, so now that's stuck down right where it should be. A smidgen north of the center line. Okay. Next, we will bring our a little bit clogged glue back in, and we will glue down our candles to our mat. I need stronger fingers. Okay, this can get glued down to our mat. All right, got a little bit of extra on there. Then we can glue our Celebrate to our berry mat. And as you're going, if you notice anything is a little off or a little crooked or a little not quite right, use your discretion on whether you want to trim it or not. So like that little white strip was a little longer than the berry strip. And here I noticed also that the proportions maybe are not completely spot on. So if you want, you can go ahead and trim just a smidgen. It doesn't bother me too much, but I figure while we're talking about it, if you want, you can do that. All right, then we are going to add, you know, a little bit more ribbon. So, tear and tape can go on the middle, top and bottom. So I added an additional 6 inches. So I'd set about 5 and 5 inches for the runs that go through the middle of the card. Then I'll grab an extra about 6 inches. And yes, you do not need to measure, but I don't know why. I feel like I want to measure. grab the tear and tape off of your sentiment. And then we're going to do a loop and a tail on top and a loop and a tail on the bottom. Now, this loop and tail is pretty big. If that's a little too big for your liking, go ahead and make that a little smaller. Loop and a tail, and then you can go ahead and cut it at a nice angle. And then you've got a loop and a tail. Again, on the bottom. So that was 6 inches. I did go ahead and make a separate loop and a tail, a separate loop and a tail. Again, you have the whole roll of ribbon, so if you'd rather just run it straight, that is completely up to you. Okay. Then we'll bring in our dimensionals and we'll pop that up in the top, in the fireworks-ish area. Okay, tear and tape sandwich to finish off the ribbon. I'm going to leave that unpeeled though. However, I will take the backing off of the dimensionals, and then this can hover in that general vicinity. Okay, that goes there-ish, and then we'll flip this whole layer over and put dimensionals on the back of that. Peel the backs off of that, and then this also just goes centered on the front of the card. Go ahead and adhere your card base to the inside. Then we get to add the finishing touches. And in this instance, your finishing touches include some rhinestones and, of course, some Stella. So this is an extremely rare occasion where we are using just 2 embellishments. I feel like we used the medium size for our rhinestones and just have them left and right on, oh my, okay, wow. You guys need to tell me when it's crooked. I promise this is not a part of the bit. At this point, it seems sad that I am always so crooked on my cards. Okay, there you go. All right, so 2 rhinestones there. Then I'm bringing my Stella in, and I Stellaed on. Okay, need to let the Stella come down. Each of the candles. And then I also took the Stella along the edge of this Berry Burst mat. There you go. Card number 1 is complete. So pretty, I love it. All right, pull that off to the side. Now we are moving on to our Azure card. The Azure card is over here. We've got a card base. Man, I love Azure. It's such a pretty color. We have an embossed mat. We have Forever Florals, Berry Burst, and Basic White. And then we also have a singular little baby balloon, as well as, of course, our inside mat. Move the rest of the pieces off to the side. And step number 1 is always to burnish our card base. Our Berry Burst mat is our beautiful patterns embossing folder. That embossing folder also is on last chance at this point in time. Then we're going to bring in our cards. So we've got right here on the bottom, rainbow stripes. And I want to say, where do we find that pattern? Right here. So that as well is also going to get cut down to, I want to say 3x4. Yep, 3x4. So go ahead, bring your little trimmer in. I'm going to cut this in half and use the other half for another card. Tuck that off to the side. Okay. So step number 1 is going to be to adhere the DSP that we just cut, the 3x4, on the left-hand side of the embossed mat. Beautiful pattern is a very subtle embossing folder. So it's just giving you a tiny little bit of visual texture. You could accentuate that with a dauber if you wanted, but I think there's plenty of other things going on the card that we don't need to do that. Okay, then we're going to add a run of ribbon. So grab your tear and tape and put that on the back. then trim it. And as always, we're finishing it with a tear and tape sandwich, which I need to stop saying because I'm so hungry. I have had stomach issues since Sunday night. So the amount of whole foods that I've eaten since Sunday night are extremely limited. I did have spaghetti Alfredo not spaghetti Alfredo, like Alfredo last night on thin angel hair noodles, and that seemed to stay down. But man, I am not doing my best right now. I'm on a almost strictly water diet. Yeah, Judy, do you miss the balloons on the back? Very crazy pattern on the back here. Little balloon animals and some very misshapen looking balloons. So that was pretty easy to make the choice to flip over. Thank you so much for watching, Doris. You'll be able to catch the replay. Hope that you have a very safe drive home. All right, so that is ready now to be glued down. Because we're not using dimensionals, I will tear the tear and tape sandwich so that it's just a little extra adhesive. Absolutely not necessary, but I'm going to. Then when we flip this over, we'll be able to have the DSP off to our left-hand side. All right, at this point, I'm going to switch to stamping. So let's get out the hip hip hooray. And then I think we have happy birthday on the inside with a balloon. Correct, happy birthday on the inside. All right, hip hip hooray is going to be stamped in Berry Burst. Berry Burst is the color of the class, okay? It's just overwhelmingly led by Berry Burst, which I think is such a bright and fun color to use for this set of cards. All right, hip hip hooray, bring in our scrap paper and do a test stamp. Perfect, beautiful, I love it. Going ahead and just getting that nice and centered. That's uphill, but we get one shot at this unless we want to flip it over, which we don't. So we are going to stick with it. Then we have happy birthday going on the inside, which we just used over here. And we are going to stamp a balloon next to this guy, so I feel like we're pulling him off to the left. Look at that. Off to the left. Okay. All right, at this point we can put the Berry Burst away. We're going to use Azure Afternoon and Smoky Slate. very big sticky stamp. So, all right. She just wants to stay stuck to the glass mat. Beautiful big balloon. I did not practice with that stamp, and it is absolutely not the end of the world, but the shines are pretty shallow, so if you push hard, you'll get some color in those shines. So, want to be aware of that. Then we're going to add the balloon tail and smoky slate. And there you have it. I'm going to go ahead and close up my inks and then clean up my stamps. When you have big stamps like the balloon, it is hard to get even coverage. So just beware of that. My goodness, I have more stamps to clean, my dearest. All right. Judy is quiet as a church mouse back here.
I'm watching.
Oh man, she's watching. Oh goodness. Pressure's on. Okay. Now we'll go back to assembly. In which case, the next step will be to adhere the hip hip hooray to the Berry Burst mat. Donna, that's a really good question. So it seems like the quality of the stamps is not good. I think the small details, like the shine in the balloon, let me bring that back. So that is a little shallow. And yes, it would have been smart for me to practice it. Also, I feel like I have something stuck to the back of it. So it is always a good idea to stamp off, or not stamp off, to practice stamping. And of course I did not do that with that particular stamp. And it is just a very small bit of color that then comes into it. Another thing I could have done is kind of ran my nail into there to get some of that ink out of there before I stamped. We will be stamping with this stamp again, and to me it's just a little decoration on the inside of the card, so I'm not too much worried about it. But yes, I have noticed that when there are small little details like that, we ran into the same thing with the pot of gold that we used in the Paperpalooza card, or yeah, I think it was Paperpalooza. When it's small little details like that that gets etched out, it does seem as though it is a little shallow. Now, we've used these stamps a bunch of times, and it is just something to think about. I haven't used these stamps in quite a while, actually, at least just the balloon part of it, so I had kind of forgotten that. And I went ahead and didn't give it a practice run. So something that is just very good to be aware of. So if you have the balloon festoons, I would suggest just being cautious when using the balloon stamp. Same with the stars, I guess I could say. We ran into that as well. So the more you know, the better. All right, then I'm going to flip it over, and we've got a loop and a tail on each side of the hip hip hooray. Okay, very good. Get that one down, trim it, and then move on to the other side. The hardest part here is to try to make it look equidistant and equivalent in size. And it just, do your best. Donna says, more and more of the stamp sets are not modeled correctly. Quality control is a problem. Definitely have noticed some of that. I agree, Donna. When we reached out regarding like the pot of gold stamp, they were happy to send a replacement, and the second stamp set did not have the same problem, so that was nice. Oopsies. Oh my goodness. Okay, dropped that. Okay. So yes, it is important to make sure that you are using your stamps, because if there is an issue, you won't be able to get resolved if you don't use your stamp set for 5 years and then the stamp is long retired at that point. So good to make sure that we are keeping up on our stamps and using them. Oh, did I? Interesting. That looks to not be on dimensionals. So it looks like my sample card's not on dimensionals, but I went ahead and put dimensionals on the back of this one, and that is how that one's going to be stuck on. Now, I like to have the blue stripe on the left-hand side because the balloon is blue, and that's going to be hanging out over here. Then we can go ahead and stick on our hip hip hooray. Okay, then we can stick down our balloon. Now, I do not recall the order in which we designed these cards, but we're going to take a quick second to move these over and show off all of the cards again, because we're going to talk through the balloon tails, which are a little strategic here. So let's move that out and bring the whole stack back in. So we did this one. This is next. Then we have the green one. Then we have the yellow. Okay, so this is the order that we're going to be making the cards. And we have allocated 3 balloon tails for each set of 6 cards. So again, 3, and you're making 3 of each of them. So you're going to have 9 sets of balloon tails. So you'll notice at the top there's a little like tie over. So you will have 3 of those tie overs. We used those. 2 of them are here on the orange card. And then the last one is on the giant pink balloon. Okay. So you're going to use and cut and then continue to use those pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and take my 3 and I'm going to trim them. So we've got the 2 over here for the orange. So let's go ahead and trim and trim. Because you notice on the blue card, we don't have one of those quote unquote tops hanging out over here. Okay, so now we have these pieces. One of them will be for the blue. We have 2 of them on the green. And then we have just a tiny little piece that we need back over here. Okay, so now we have 3 pieces left, and like I said, we need to get 4 of them out of here. So we have just a tiny little smidge here, and then actually the majority of the rest of this get used over yonder. So I'm just going to take a small little bit for the purple card, and now I'm just going to see, oh, that's a pretty perfect size there for the blue, and then we'll pull these 2 over for the green card. So that's how I allocated the balloon trails, or tails, or ribbons, or strings, okay? So we've got about, just for you, because you won't have the cards in front of you, for the orange card, we've got, with the tie on top, approximately 2 1/4 inches. And I think that's about the length of the second one as well. Yep. So 2 of them with the tie on the top for the orange card, cut at approximately 2 1/4 inches. Now, it's up to you whether you want them cut at a diagonal, if you want to round them, however you'd like to finish them. The last with the tie on the top is cut at approximately 2 inches. Then I pulled all of the pieces that are left, I pulled them off to the side, and I grabbed the longest one and cut a piece approximately 1 inch and added that to the pile for the pink card. Okay, then what is left, I'm putting aside 1 for the blue card and 2 of them for the green card. And how I'm doing these, you'll see, is I want to keep the rounded end on the bottom, and anything that's left, I'm just sticking behind the balloon. So when we get to the green one, there will be a bunch of extra length that I'm just going to hide behind those 2 balloons. Okay? So now at this point in time, I'm going to put these piles off to the side. So that's the pink card. That's the orange card. That's the green card. And then this is the piece for the blue card. So I'm just going to hang those off to the side and then stack these cards back up to put off to the side. Hello, Feline. Busy day off, trying to get ready and start work week tomorrow. Will watch the replay. Have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for tuning in, for liking and sharing, Feline. I appreciate you. Hello from Carmen Sanders. It's a little cold here in Illinois today, but the sun is shining. Thank goodness we're sick of all of the rain. Amen, sister. All right, so at this point, we're going to bring our blue card back into play because now we need to glue on our balloon. So first I'm going to flip over this piece. We'll get the dimensionals on it. And then we'll stick the balloon on and get him fluttering off with some birthday wishes. Okay. Now, this gets centered. And then the balloon also has a dimensional behind it. This is now going to be on kind of different levels. Oh, look at there. We hit the corner over there. Very smart. So I'm going to put a dimensional just in this corner. Then I'm going to lay the balloon down, covering up that corner, and then I'm going to tap that down. Then I'm going to grab my balloon trail. We've got liquid glue behind the string. Maybe. That's the goal. Okay. Definitely don't want too much, but need a little bit more than none. Okay, we're going to flip this over. Tuck it. We're going to drop it. Pick it back up. Tuck it under here. In any which manner that it makes sense. So obviously here we had the balloon. I had him much more turned. I see, I see. So give a little bit more room for our hip hip hooray over there. Okay, good call. So yes, balloon tail. I liked how it was at the intersection of the white and the berry burst, but however it all works out. Then I'm going to sneak in just a little bit of a dot of glue behind here to give the balloon something to rest on. Then, before we put the glue away, we'll glue the inside in. Then we'll do some embellishments and some stella. So we've got our rhinestones, and we've got a whole slew of them. So we've got a big one hanging out off to the side on our background. Nicely placed at the intersection of an X. Then we've got a large and a small above the hip hip hooray. And a large and a small on the striped DSP piece. All right. Perfect. Bring in our Stella pen. And on this one, we've got Stella hanging out on our blue balloon. Now, I will say this. Most of these cards, we've got Stella on the balloons. You definitely do not want your Stella pen to be too juicy, or it'll look much, much, much too Stella'd, okay? So you want to make sure that you're coming in with a relatively, not dry, but definitely not juicy Stella pen. There you be. You got our hip hip hooray. Woohoo! All right, move her off to the side. And next we are on to our green card. So this card does not have a card base because it's a flappy flap of a card. So take one of each of the pieces. Just one, please. And move the rest off to the side. Also time for a quick drink. So we have the components of a fun-ish fold. So that means no traditional card base here. We have just a lemon lime matte as well as a berry burst matte. So those nest together quite nicely. Then we'll bring this piece back in, but we will have to trim it and cut it so that we've got some on each side here. Then we've got our card component, which we will burnish. And then we've got our inside mat. We'll bring in another piece of DSP here. This time we've got our zigzags and a couple die cut pieces. So first and foremost, we'll bring over this piece of 4x3 inch DSP that now needs to get trimmed down further. So the first cut that we're going to make is on the height, and we're going to trim it down to 3 13/16. So make that cut first. Then we're going to turn it and cut it at 1 1/4, which will leave us with 1 3/4 for the other side. The other piece of DSP is cut at 4x3. I mean, that's how it comes out of the Memories and More card pack. And that does not need to get trimmed down. Okay? So let's get started by adhering down the Berry Burst mat. Okay. Next, we can go ahead and mat on the two strips of DSP that we just trimmed down. Don't worry about how much space is in between them. We just want to make sure that we nest them perfectly on the left and perfectly on the right, and the rest will just kind of fall into place. Oh my goodness. Okay, come on. The glue is not only a little cloggy, but I think it's a little, like, thick. So, bear with me. Okay, so again, that's approximately how much space we will have left between the two. But let's go ahead and get this burnished, and then we'll glue that down. And then all of a sudden we won't even know what we're missing in the inside. I love when we have the ability to die cut the pieces that we need out of another piece. You're not even missing that little bit of balloon in there, and you're not even missing that little bit of DSP. Now that we've got the card base down, you wouldn't even know that it was never there to begin with. So, somewhere approximately there. Okay, then we can put the DSP on. There really is no up or down or right or wrong. However, I will say ours started with the lemon lime zigzag running across the top. Fits in there perfectly. Okay, at this point we're going to move on to stamping. So we'll stamp Happy Birthday on the Forever Floral die cut image. Then on the inside of the card we've got Let's Celebrate, and we're bringing back our star stamp that we're going to stamp in Lemon Lime Twist. All right, so we've got Happy Birthday on the outside. Let's Celebrate. And the stars for on the inside. At this point, I have stamped each one of these before, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we're feeling good about them. Okay, move that off to the side. Let's Celebrate. Switching now to Lemon Lime Twist and the stars. Chris loved how perfectly the stars nested on our sentiments here. Last time we did it on, I don't think it was on Let's Celebrate. I don't remember what the sentiment was, but I agree. They look so very nice nested in there. I also like how the stars bring some color into the words. I think that's super cool. Now we'll take a minute to clean up our stamps, get them out of our way. Okay, I will glue this on the inside right away, and then we can start layering up the outside of our card. Perfect. Okay, so happy birthday. We are going to add 3 tiny little loops off of the happy end. So we'll grab our tear and tape, which is hiding behind my rhinestones. Peel the tear and tape off, and then we've got... Okay, so I liked having the ribbon coming right off of that rounded corner. So I'm going to nest it right on that rounded corner, and then we're going to just wrap it up. Bring it back down. And one more. That gets us approximately to the peak. Push that down nice, and then trim it. And tear and tape sandwich. Perfect. Oh, I hear a kitten.
I hear a kitten. Oh, he wants water. He's thirsty.
There's water in the cup. He's got it.
He's like, I like flowing water.
Oh, but he was doing great.
But he's like, I want to get water all over your paper.
No, we don't want that. Okay, so happy birthday can go on dimensionals in the bottom left-hand corner of this flap. And I don't want this dimensional quite that far over because I did have just a hair of that hanging off of the flap. Barely see a teeny little bit peeking out there, but I did like that. Okay, I'm going to tentatively tack that down. Some little hairs coming off the die cut there. Okay, then we are going to put down a big balloon and a small balloon.
Hey, boo.
All the balloons for the balloon festoon. They are on dimensionals. But bear in mind that some of the edge of the big balloon is hanging off. So we need to be strategic about our dimensional placement. So let's do that. Lightly hovering so that we can move them if we need to. Okay, so again, we're going to lightly place down the green balloon so that if we change our mind, we can easily move him. Now we go back to our pile. We're grabbing our ribbons or our strings for our balloons. We want to make sure that we have enough length here. And then we're going to tuck that ribbon behind the balloon. And in the case of the green one, we might need and or want to trim it before we tuck it up in there. So that'll be our whereabouts. We've got a little a little glue dot all balled up to hold them relatively in place. So I'm going to put that about there. Then I'm going to stick this guy about there with a little bit of glue behind there, which is hard to do with a glue bottle that's a little jammed up.
Then the reds are even. You see, like there's hardly any there. So they're gonna take some finagling.
Oh, and now I see that this balloon he floated down.
Set it up on her Stampin' Up.
I don't want them too close to the words. All right, go back to add some glue on this guy.
They're all that way. She could use her Stampin' Up. So I'm gonna assume they are because this one's going uphill too. Because when you hold this like a diamond, straight up and down, it's got the same angle.
Now, that being said, amongst all of this, I let him fall too far to the bottom.
If not, we're not gonna re-stamp them. But next time I'll have to tell her that she should let me see how she has
So
it
that
set
they
up on
don't
the Stampin' Up. So we're just gonna have
fall off the bottom of the card.
right.
And I'm going to grab just a dot of glue. I like having the tails
Get it just right.
overlap.
This is
That's how
everything.
I had them on my card.
But I hit
So
really
that's
good.
what
Like
that's
the
the
T
goal I'm
is gonna
going
originally
for
be
here.
Right there. Right?
All right, then we're going to put the
So I originally wanted it like this.
glue away. Turn off the kitten's water because the kitten
Sorry, I
has.
forgot.
That's okay because the kitten ran away.
So,
And then we are going to go ahead and add some rhinestones and some Stella. So now, on Chris's card, she put Stella on both of the balloons. I went and just put Stella on just the green one, not both of them. again, completely your own personal
Well, see, I was
preference.
picturing this
So there's
to
the
be like
difference
this thing like this
between
and coming out and not
the
showing.
tails. Mine are
I was
crossed,
thinking,
hers
I
are
would just
not,
leave this
and
be
the
front.
balloons. So I'm gonna put the Stella down before I put the embellishments on, just in case you want to do your Stella on both balloons, but I'm, again, just gonna go with just the green one.
They you're gonna have to pull out the ones that are cracked because she scored them heavy, so it's all them cracked. I don't mind it like that. I don't mind it. Yeah, but I don't mind it like this. It's down here, so it still meets the peak, and it's offset on purpose. Like, I don't mind the way that looks.
So we're trying to fill in the whole balloon without getting it too covered.
Put the thing in here and it's gonna stick out and you're gonna see it. Like, we'll work with the flap. Could this go on here and the flap?
All right, then we've got a few embellishments going on here. We have 7 of them, which I love. I think these embellishments look so good. So we're going to take our biggest embellishment and we're going to place it approximately here-ish. We're going to nest it with a small one. I think there are 4 sizes on these. So it might not be the smallest, but going with that. And then we have a medium. Excuse me, come on. Okay, medium up here-ish. Then we've got a medium and a small acting as the shine on the balloon.
I'm freezing. I was freezing last night, and then I woke up sweating.
And then we've got a medium and a small off to the side here.
That was allergies, but it's not just that.
I know, right?
I did too.
Here are 2 tear tapes, you guys.
Medium and a small over there. So look at all of those shinies. So there is our lemon lime card. We are making tracks. We've got half of them done. So let's put Chris's card back over here. Got 3 piles going on. And now we are on to our yellow card, Daffodil Delight. All right, so Daffodil. We've got an embossed piece using the eyelet embossing folder, which I do believe is also on Last Chance at this point. Let's call this the Last Chance class. Now, if you are loving these cards, I have not made my second run of them yet. So if you would like more, reach out, because I have more kitting that I'm going to be doing. I'm so happy with these cards. I love them so very, very much. All right. So, we have a sentiment strip, a berry burst mat to accompany it, and then a white mat for the inside. We are also going to add a piece of DSP. It's the second half of, excuse me, thank you. The second half of the candles card. My brain just made a very, very big blank. All right, so we can go ahead and burnish our Daffodil Delight card base. Oh my goodness, we also need our diagonal DSP. I was like, I feel a little thin here. Okay, here we go. Diagonal DSP. Beautiful. Okay, we've got a vertical card here. We are going to take our embossed piece of eyelet berry burst and adhere that down. Again, we're not accentuating the pattern at all, so do that if you so please, but we did not. Ah, aggressive. We need to put ribbon on this. Don't stick it down yet. So pull that off to the side. Please, please, please do not put glue on it yet. Okay, so we've got our piece of DSP here. However, we're going to trim it down just a little bit. Let me grab my recipe card. I thought that was in my pile over here. Oh, is it not? There she is. Okay, so we need our itty bitty trimmer over here. We are going to trim the length down to 3 3/13. So I'm going to take it, I do not want to lose this little bit of berry burst in the corner, so I'm going to rotate it and trim on this side. And we've got 3 3/13. Just to get that nice and nested in there. Now, you are not going to have made the mistake that I made, so you're not going to have glue on yours, which will make it easier for you to go ahead and adhere this down. Now, I did like the berry burst, like I said, in that corner, so that's why we didn't trim it, and I also is why we are using that up in the right-hand corner. So get that nested in there. Then flip it over and add some tear and tape. It's right in front of my eyes. We are going to add a singular run of berry burst ribbon at the intersection of the DSP and the embossed piece. Then flip it over and finish it with our tear and tape sandwich. I've got a little bit of a hot mess of liquid glue on the back here, so I will also utilize this tear and tape to stick it down. All right, so pretend that I didn't do all of that a little bit out of order. Now we're just gonna stick it on the card base just like normal. No mistakes, no nothing. Ay caramba. I just get too excited. All right, look at that. Perfect. Now, I'm going to stamp our sentiment, enjoy your day. So let's grab a block. Enjoy your day gets stamped in berry burst. Then on the inside, I'm guessing happy birthday. Ooh, hip hip hooray with a yellow balloon. Ooh, I like it. Okay. Hip hip hooray. Balloon and tails. Wow. Okay. Enjoy your day. Let's start there. All right, so you've got your little strip here. We are going to diagonal the end, so we do want to nest our E in the left-hand corner. Okay, nicely done. Then we're going to put that off to the side, open up our sample card. Okay, hip hip hooray is far to the left, but I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to start with the balloon because last time I placed the balloon off of where I had placed my stamped sentiment, which put my balloon, I thought, far too not in the right spot. So remember, we don't want to push too hard with our balloon here. So I'm going to put him up here. Ooh, much better. Okay. Then we've got our smoky slate for the string. Okay. And now we have hip hip hooray, which we can center based off of our balloon. That looks pretty dang good. Okay. Clean the stamps. Put them away. All right, excellent. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and adhere the inside before we move on. Okay. Now, enjoy your day. Grab a scissor and trim that at a nice slant. Then grab your berry burst piece. And I'm going to add just 2 lines of glue down the middle. Okay, 2 became a little more than 2. Just because I have no control with that little guy. Okay, now we're going to adhere that onto here. All right. Then we're going to add some tear and tape and a loop and a tail of ribbon on the top and a loop and a tail of ribbon on the bottom. So we'll bring our ribbon back into play. Started over much too far. Okay, we're going to start almost at the end of the word enjoy. These are pretty tightly wound and they're pretty tall. If that is not how you want or like your ribbon, that is absolutely up to you. Oh my, we are at the end of our spool of ribbon with 2 cards to go. Okay, so I will need a new... Judy, would you like to see if there's another started berry burst ribbon? Oh my goodness. Ask and you absolutely shall receive.
I just brought it down.
Wow. Okay, so then we're going to finish off over here. And finish the tear and tape sandwich. Then we will put dimensionals on the ends. And dimensionals behind our candles. All right. Now it's time to assemble. Properly dispose of all your dimensional backs before they end up everywhere where you do not want them. This gets matted on our card base. I believe it's a little north of centered, so a little bit more on the bottom than on the top. Dare I say that's a pretty even? I don't know. I feel like my ability to sense what's even and centered these days is quite skewed. All right, now for the placement of this, we've got the berry burst section pretty much lined up with our ribbon. And then we're pulling it off to the left so that a little bit of this is hanging off the side. All in all, that places you approximately there. Then, for our Stella, we've got our flames. Okay, that missed by a smidge. And then again on the edge of our berry burst here. Perfect. That is our Daffodil Delight card. Oh my goodness, just kidding. A little shy of perfect because we need embellishments yet. So we've got a large one up in the corner. Medium. Down hither. Nested with a small. That is stuck to my fingernail. Take another small and nest that up top. And then a medium off to the side here. Now it's pretty perfect. All right, trucking right along, we have next up our orange card. Wait. All right. So for our orange card. Oh no. I just made a mess of all of the strings that I had left. Schmoopsies. Okay. All right. From the Memories and More kit, from my class, I should say, you will receive a card base, a berry burst mat, a white inside mat, a secondary mat, a big balloon, a small balloon, and a sentiment strip. Then we'll take a water break. Okay. Burnish your card base on the score line. then we will bring in our additional pieces, which for this class include the 4x6 piece of DSP and then the orange pattern of DSP. So we'll nest that nicely on there. And then we will need to trim our DSP, which we will do at so 5 1/16 is the height for the DSP. Oh, we can't use the guillotine on that. So, I don't think it matters in terms of left or right, top or bottom for the placement of this cut. So we're just going to cut it 5 1/16. That will stay for our inside. Then we are going to rotate it and cut at 3 13/16. Again, I'm not quite sure if it matters, but it does look as though I trimmed it there. Okay. Next, I'm going to do my stamping, which for this card is enjoy your day, and then happy birthday on the inside. I don't think there's any accessories. Nope, just happy birthday. All right, grab my stamps. Grab my Berry Burst. Enjoy your day. All right, same with the last card. We're going to nest our E to the far left-hand side. Okay. Happy birthday is just going to be centered left to right in the top portion of our mat here. Let that marinate, give it some nice firm pressure, and then lift it up. That is all the stamping for this card, which means we're going to put our ink away and clean up our stamps. Then we're going to adhere the excess from our DSP onto the bottom. That is why we did the 5 1/16 cut first, because that cut that off. Obviously that was not exactly where it was, but if we would have made, I don't know where exactly this came from, but somewhere on this piece, if we would have made the 3 3/13 cut first, then this would have been smaller and it would have nested in there, which would have been fine. But we had the full cut, so then it fits so very nicely on the bottom here. Ooh, France says that this is her favorite of all of them because she loves Timid Tiger. I used to love orange, and it's not that I don't love orange anymore, but I have really diversified and I love basically all the colors except for I'm not a huge fan of green. There's different shades of green that I do like, but green in general just is not my #1 favorite color. So, yes, when I got married, orange was the color of all the bridesmaids, and it was fall, and so I have quite an affinity for orange as well. And as oranges go, I tend to agree that Timid Tiger is a very nice orange. So, glad you like it. The other thing that I love about this card is how all of it is extremely cohesive. I love the different patterns of the DSP, how they all complement each other very well, and even this additional piece of DSP, just very good. I agree, France. This is a very nice card. So at this point, we're just going to start layering. Instead of centering this top to bottom and left to right, I'm going to shove this up just a little bit and trim a little bit extra off of the bottom. Not necessary, but seeing as how I have my cutter sitting right there, I'm just going to do that. Also see just a little bit of hairiness hanging off the side, so I'm going to trim that too. Why not? We have the resources. Okay. Then I'm all paranoid now. Yes, there's no ribbon layer. I already know that, but think twice, glue once. I need that tattooed on my forehead, I think. Okay. Then we are going to, okay, so that's going to hang out in that vicinity. Oh, we could also glue this on the inside. Now I think we are going to put dimensionals behind this layer. All right, this is just going to get centered And I do not believe it really matters, but I am keeping the dark portion off to the right-hand side. All right, then we're going to put some dimensionals down and get the balloons in place. So we want that one to be approximately there-ish. So I'm laying dimensionals down, not peeling the backers off. And I want the orange one to go there. And then enjoy your day. We'll go approximately there-ish. Okay, so this is relatively where I want the balloons to go. I'm going to bring my scissor in and trim this peak off because I do not want that poking out. Now I'm going to peel the backings off and start to lay down my balloons. So the Berry Burst balloon is going to go up, hanging off of the DSP mat, the secondary mat. So we'll say relatively there. Then I'm going to place down the Timid balloon. Relatively there. Then I'm going to bring in my strings and add just a dot of glue. Stick down my strings. I'm not sure if my strings got mixed and matched or whatnot, but at this point I'm going to trim that one a little extra. Then I'm going to add a little bit of glue behind my Enjoy the Day and trim the end off here. Tear off. Oh my goodness. Okay. See? This is what happens. I also need to add ribbon. Oh, goodness. All right, so we're putting this approximately by the your. So I'm putting tear and tape behind the word your, peeling that backing off, and then I'm going to add. So it's kind of like a loop and a tail on the top and the bottom. However, in this instance, I'm a little bit making it more like a bow. So let's grab our ribbon in. Got a scrap and a whole roll. So I'm going to make a loop. So instead of just laying it and folding it over, which makes a tail like that, I'm going to take it and bring the tails together, which gives it a loop like that, which is more like a loop that you get when you tie like a bow. So we're going to put that one on top and supplement it with, there's a shiny side and a not as shiny side, but it is very hard to tell. So I want this tail to be with that. So we'll go like that. Oh goodness, I lost. I lost my end there. The ribbon scissors in there. There's going to be a lot of layers of ribbon here. So that being said, before I let go, I'm going to grab another piece of tear and tape and sandwich that. I also have a little bit of ribbon coming off there. All right, then we're gonna do the same thing. Gonna fold the tails over on each other. Put that down there. Tuck the bow with it. Flip it over and trim it. And end it with some tear and tape. Ay caramba. That looks pretty good. All right. Then we're going to put some liquid glue on the end here because we want the enjoy to be down flat and the your day to be fluttering in the breeze. So that's how we like it. Now, you can adjust your balloon tails at this point if you would like. And then it's time for some Stella and rhinestones. So I did Stella on the orange balloon. Oh, that is what Chris did too. I was like, I'm not sure if she did it on both balloons. So I don't. Okay, let's get all sorts of Stella. Whoa. So we got lots of Stella going on. Don't want it to look too patchy, so I'm trying to focus. I know the Stella, the like liquid in it does dry, but it does still kind of show where your strokes were. So I'm trying to focus there. All right, then we have a big rhinestone down here. A medium. Okay, does that come out? All right, medium rhinestone up top. Nestled with a small. We'll nestle a small down here with the big. And then have a medium hanging out up there. Beautiful. Enjoy your day with Francis' favorite orange card. Beautiful. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, then last but absolutely not, certainly least, we have our Pretty in Pink. I was going to say, yes, Chris did both balloons on this one. That's Stella galore. I did just on the big pink balloon here. All right, can we do it? Do we have it in us? I know this has been a long live. We have our final card. So let's bring in our last card base, which is our thick white. You also have an embossed lovely stripes, I think. And I do believe not only is that on last chance, I think that's gone by now. I feel like there's been a big shifting in the embossing folders. I was working on the Beekeeper's Guide, which is almost done. Our lovely friend Susan Bellamy was proofing it for us. I did notice that last night she got back to me. I did not get back to looking at it yet, but stay tuned. It'll be released soon. With 3 kitted card classes this month, and the Beekeeper's Guide, and excessive amounts of things going on at school, including First Communion for my son, Teacher Appreciation Week, which is this week, which I was entrusted by the Home and School Committee to make marbleized planters with our oldest art students. And then we also had Special Persons Day. There was one other big thing going on at school. So I have been absolutely in the thick of it. So it has been a little challenging for me. But we're making it. Okay, so we have the circles. I need one of those. We have the stripes, and we need one of those. So, excellent. I think at this point we have used one of everything. If not, maybe, I don't know, I think just one of everything. So, let's adhere the stripes to the embossed mat. Okay. I do think the paper, I don't know if shrinks is quite the right word, but shrinks a little bit in the embossing folders. So anytime you notice anything hanging off the edge, just go ahead and trim that a little bit. Okay. Then we'll also adhere the dots to our white mat. Okay, so I'm just going to be very strategic about where I place my glue. To work around those labels that we got out of there. And then once that's stuck down, I'm gonna, again, bring in my guillotine and do just a smidgen of trimming. Okay. All right, then, before I get glue happy, I'm going to add my ribbon. Yay, I did it. I remembered. All right, so let's put some tear and tape down. And we'll do a single run of Berry Burst, this absolutely beautiful ribbon. Because we got Judy watching here.
Actually, I left my phone.
Well, you're watching in the flesh. We've got a smidgen of coverage over the intersection of the DSP and the mat. Trim that off, and now at this point we're done with the Berry Burst ribbon for the rest of these cards. Oh geez. All right. Now, I'm not going to glue that down just quite yet because we are going to stamp on our sentiment and on the inside. So this is thick white, so you're going to be stamping right on the inside. So you want to get that done before you glue things on it. In case you make a mistake or don't like it, you can always grab a new card base if you don't have your stuff glued down. So let's celebrate. And happy birthday. And then you're going to bring in the confetti as well. Okay, so turns out I did even a little more line. We didn't use either of the circles, and it looks like we didn't use the "you did it" either. All right, so that fits on there perfectly. All right, Let's Celebrate is also going to be nested into the far left of this sentiment piece. Perfect. Then happy birthday goes on the top. tell if that's crooked or not, which is a good sign, because if I can't tell, maybe y'all can't tell. Then we're gonna grab the Pretty in Pink and the confetti. And I just stamped all around it, stamped on, stamped off, just made it look a little chaotic. Chris was not a huge fan of how this turned out. So if you like it, great. If you don't, you absolutely do not have to do it. There. Okay. We are officially 100% done with the stamping for this class today. Woohoo! All right, let's bring in our cleaner. Get that cleaned up. Whoa. Get that cleaned up. And let's celebrate. If you do have the Balloon Festoons stamp set, you absolutely could use the You Did It or interchange any of these sentiments. Or bring in any of your own stamps and sentiments if you do not have the Balloon Festoons. With us having the everything die cut for you already, most of everything that you need here is just sentiments to complete these cards. So I'm sure many of us have quite a few birthday sentiments that you can use. All right, tear and tape sandwich, go ahead and bring in your adhesive. All right, then. Get that centered. I see here a little bit where I tried to trim that off. Got a little hairy, so I'm gonna trim that a little better. All right, then we're going to add some dimensionals on the back of this. Where did I put my dimensionals? You guys, again, they're right in front of me. It's always the first place you should look, right in front of you. Okay, stick down your secondary mat. I want to get that nice and centered. Okay, then we've got our big pink balloon. Again, I'm gonna probably snip the corner. So let's get that done. Oh man, going to snip the corner, but my dimensional's a little close to the edge. Okay. Okay. I just like to do that before I glue it down so that I don't need to worry about where my balloon gets placed. It's gonna go wherever I want it to. All right, dimensionals on the back of each of the balloons. So I'll stick down the Pretty in Pink balloon first. Pretty in Pink is a retiring in color, but it goes ever so perfectly with this color scheme. All right, then I'm going to add a dot of glue for the balloon string. Then we'll put an additional dimensional or two for our berry burst balloon. He's gonna go there-ish. And then he's just got a teeny tiny little string. Which we'll tuck right there. Then let's celebrate. Got a banner off the edge there. And we will put liquid glue on the left-hand edge and then a dimensional on the bannered edge. And then we're going to nest this down, hanging off just a little bit. I know, very technical term, but something like that. Now at this point, I'm gonna adjust little balloon stringies somewhere in that vicinity. All right, Stella, are you ready for your last workout? So again, Chris had Stella on both of the balloons. I just put Stella on just the Pretty in Pink balloon. Lots of Stella coverage. And I did wait to Stella the Pretty in Pink balloon until the very end because a good chunk of it does get covered up by this Pretty Berry Burst balloon. So don't need to waste any beautiful shimmer under that spot that's covered. Just keep Stellaing until it's done, and then we'll finish it off with some rhinestones. And then you've got an awesome set of completed cards. Now, this was just one of 3, so you've got 2 more sets that you can complete, and then you'll take a look at your Memories and More card pack and realize it's only half gone, so you can still make double or 36 total of these birthday cards. So amazing. Great bang for your buck. All right, I know she looks kind of splotchy, but that is how she finished up. All right, we've got our biggest rhinestone down here-ish. Then we'll bring in the next biggest, nestle those two together. Put another of that size up here as a shine, and the last one up here. And then we just need one teeny little baby one up there to finish it. Too close. There we go. Oh, no. Okay, I know my nails are too long. Oopsies. All right, there you have it. Woohoo! Suzanne says she's catching the end, but we'll go back and watch the replay, sending thumbs up. Fun, colorful cards. I can't wait to make them. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you. So, at this point, does anybody have a favorite? So, let's bring them all back. So, I laid them out in rainbow order and then kitted them, which actually puts them in reverse rainbow order. So, there you go. Which one, if any, is your favorite? You can't make me choose because they're like my children at this point. I've spent so many intimate hours working with them. And I do just personally like them all together as a nice big cohesive family. Woohoo! France is excited to make them as well. Sorry, Francie. My computer is almost dead over here, so it's gone into like hibernation dark mode, and it's super tiny little comments and words over there, so it's hard to read. Yes, Francie says her favorite is the Timid Tiger. I don't know. I think if I had to choose, I'd go with the Azure one. Susan Bellamy likes them all. That's excellent. She's going to play neutral like Switzerland, just like me. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for supporting this class. I appreciate it. I do hope that you love the cards. I don't think I ran into any issues with the PDF tutorial, but I will go ahead and resend that out in the next couple of days for those of you who may not have received it. And I'm so very much appreciative of your time that you shared with me today. Ha! Judy Amel. Judy's favorite is the one with the balloons. But joke's on you a little bit because 2 of them don't have balloons. So, all right. Well, that was a great way to finish up class there today. And I do appreciate you joining me today and sharing your greatest resource, your time with me. Thank you so much. And in the meantime, we're sending sunshine, love, big hugs, rainbows, and bright skies your way.